Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. I just got off work. Um, and predominantly, what I'm trying to do with these videos is help people deconstruct, but also rebuild, trying to build a foundation. And I'm trying to video blog as I learn and go and teach people what I learn. And if any of this information is for you, hopefully it can be like a delicious meal for the angel of the Lord, the angel of who I am. Now, you might hear me say that oftentimes, and I might be confusing because you hear me say I am, but oftentimes I reference other people and humanity. It is because what I am doing is I am giving my spirit my foundation, and if it is a strong rock that you can stand on, I hope it helps you in some way. So, in this video, I'm going to do something that sometimes a lot of people hate, but from this aspect, has nothing to do with the magic of it. This has nothing to do with the religiosity of it. Although, if I do talk about religion, it's going to be based on political science and rewards versus punishments. And that's what humans are based on feelings. And so, I want to talk about the idea of the Spirit of the Lord finally coming to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I want to talk about who Jacob and Esau are. I hear a lot of people reference Caucasians as Esau, but I'll get into that later, maybe if not today, another video. But essentially, you have a passage in that Bible where it shows that Abraham had left Babylon because it was corrupt. They had left Babylon and went to Egypt. When he left Babylon and did all this war in Arabia, at the time it wasn't Arabia. Well, it was the Horn of Africa. Did all this battle. Melchizedek was the king of Sodom, by the way. I don't know if anybody knows that, but okay. So what I'm explaining is you'll have a group of people that left an already wicked land. And when I say wicked land, this has nothing to do with race. Um, I looked up some of the religious practices and some of the tyrant fascism going on back in Babylon. And then I looked up what was going on in Africa, and it's totally different than what people are leading to believe. First of all, there wasn't any pharaohs until Moses. When it's written that I will make you a god to them, Pharaoh was God. Moses was the first pharaoh. I hope you're not throwing up in my window. I hope you're not throwing up in my window. Not in my window. Oh my God. One moment, please. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Cats, man. Ancient Kemet Egyptians and cats. Ain't that funny? But anyways, the point is back to what I was talking about. So you would have a man, now pay attention to the name, Abraham. Ham was the African portion of whatever this book is talking about. The reason why a lot of these stories in this book, plus all the minus all the magic, matches up a lot, and then they try to use that to give validity to the literalization of magic, is because they're history stories. On one of the steels in Africa, it is written there was a people without a king that was defeated. Okay, the Hyksos in the 1900s, I believe at first, 1800s BC, was raiding Kemet in Africa and all these other lands, whatever they was called. Okay, they were successful and they had intermingled for a while. But then a man named Amos came and kicked them out. Not kicked them out, but he basically kicked them out and separated the kingdoms, and there was peace again. Then Akhenaten went to Canaan. The reason why this is important is because when Abraham went to go plague the Pharaoh, that's the time frame of around Abraham and when all that was happening, when they finally went to Africa. Then after that, later down the line, a new people was created, Arabs, a Semitic people, because you would have African, you have Asian, and then you have Anglo-Saxon, which is basically Caucasian, just a little. And what I would like to say is there actually isn't only three races. I have to calculate this. Okay, so you have African and then you have Asian mix, right? You have Semitic. Then you have African and Caucasian mix. I still call that Semitic. But then you would have when Caucasians and Asians mix. Where do Mongoloids come from and who are Angloids, Saxons? Anyways, the point is a people was created. Arabs. You would have Amharic and Aramaic. Amharic is basically the language of Ge'ez transcribed. So the reason why that's important is because then the reason why Arabs now and Muslims are saying they're not African, is because they're trying to separate and create a Shem. Because by their own words, Ham was cursed. But if you look at the portion of Ham that was cursed, who was it? The Asiatic Canaanite people, the land of Canaan. Well, what ended up happening? You had the people from Africa come back and invade. You have Greece and all these other lands throughout history coming and invading that land because of the transgressions. When I say transgressions, I'm talking about the murder and the murderous lies in religion. So, the Hyksos, which is representation for Abraham, the Canaanites, right? It came all the way from Babylon. They went over into Africa, invaded it. Later comes out Arabic people, Semitic people, and then Africans, right? They mix. Yeah, I'll say Jacob and Esau. Esau, I hate it because they're a warmongering, fucking violent people that's still cutting people's hands off. And Jacob, I love because they were tent dwellers, because they are time and time again creating civilization, but getting fucking destroyed. So much so that they're so confused, they're calling themselves Shem. No, we're not Asiatic. It's literally representation of the three races. Noah, the father of all races, is what color? Go look in their history books, science books, and in this book. African. The reason why Noah plagued one of his sons is because when Ham saw it, it's a representation of one of the families noticing the oppression that was coming out of fucking Babylon. Who is that? Nimrod. Cain was the first wicked people. Who is Cain? The Cannanites. His son from Babylon, Nimrod, was the wicked person. That's a real man in history. They literally took the name. These people came together, called the Hyksos, the people without a king. The Memphis Steel that say the people without a king, the Shepherd Kings, raided Africa, and then a new people were created. Arabs and Africans. Then later over time, unbeknownst to any of these Asiatic and African people, outside the Mediterranean people, at best were light-skinned. Angloids were not coming down yet. History shows a fingerprint of when they came down after the Roman Empire. The Romans and Greeks had curly hair. All humans have African DNA. It's enough is enough. So then you would have Semitic people, African and Asian. Then you would have light-skinned or Semitic people, whatever you want to call it, African and Caucasian. But then you would have Caucasian and Asian. This is the Crusades. This is the Caliphate. Because at first, what was it? The Moors, that long in history when they was traveling all through Africa, conquering, and it wasn't really conquering the way you think. They were joining them. It was like a brotherhood of people coming back together. But different demographics would dictate what you look like. It's called evolution, whether you believe in it or not. I do not care. While you go skin tan and turn a different color after 30 minutes. So then they went up through Spain and Morocco and all these places. And then they began to branch out. So the reason I bring that up is because if you notice the 12 tribes of Judah, okay. Now, if you go back to Africa, back in the ancient days, you would have a feather, muad, a crocodile, and a judgment. There was 12 judges or strong people or whoever. That's where they get the number 12 from, 12 hours on a clock. Egypt was doing this long ago. They had sundials and observatories. They were doing surgeries. And why a lot of these indigenous people, when they branch out, are extremely dark steel. So that is how Semitic people were created. They went into the Horn of Africa, and they began to change skin tone. Then later in history, during different ages, they began to mix together. Greece and Rome took over Persia and Babylon. And so did the Mongoloids or Mongols, whatever. And so did the French and the Catholics. I mean, the French and the Germans and the Spaniards. These are all branches of Germanic people. And so, you guys, all the religious magical bullshit, it's we grow like plants. And we got here how we got here, naturally. All the other stuff is cosplay and stories. And when we start to open up, we can understand why we're all humanity. All that, oh, God made us all equal. Enough is a fucking enough. I am making us all equal because I am using the same fucking genetics for each of us. Just genetically mutated over time. We are who we are. You have nurture versus nature. Nurture, your environment, what you grow up with, what you're taught. But then you have nature, your physical instincts, who you actually genetically are. The nurture molds who we are. But as we grow and become adults, we are who we are, and anything that can change at any time. Why so many people go off to the dark side and want their last moment to be murking so many people and then murking themselves, I don't understand. That's the most miserable shit ever. If I was pissed off at humanity and society, I would do everything in my power to defeat them in the sense of becoming a great person, being happy at all times, and not being defeated by their systems and bullshit and non-playable characters. Why you would let them defeat you like that and then be like, oh, it's beyond me. I will never be defeated. I'm sorry, kitty cat. Because the foundation of mine is strong. So, you know what I mean? According to history, genetics, and science, carbon dating, the reason they keep saying the wheel is from Mesopotamia, the wheel's from Mesopotamia and Mesopotamia's ancient, because they keep saying they're finding artifacts with carbon dating that's older than anything else. That is the biggest lie I've ever fucking heard in my life. And then the oldest is 3,500. They said 3,100. They already had the language of Giaz and hieroglyphics and everything else in 3,100, 2,100 BC. Stop playing. They wrote about the Hyksos on a stele. What are y'all talking about? They were already writing history books. Then they'll say papyrus and also it's just unfathomable. Okay, so what's the Egyptian pulley? If the Egyptian pulley was being used to create temples in the 1500s BC, then how in the fuck was the wheel invented in 3000 BC? Or 1000, whenever they say, 1500, I don't even know. But this Mesopotamia shit is bullshit. Babylon barely had one pyramid. It was a temple. Meanwhile, the American Mayans and the Africans have pyramids and temples out of this world, depicting African features. Enough is enough. We see through it. Not only that, we know the oldest shit is in Africa, the oldest structures. So here's an even bigger thought. Let's say mankind did Pangea and we wasn't in Africa first. We was in some central area. That would be even worse. Do you want to know why? That would mean because then a group of people who went to an African continent started creating the first structures in civilization and had advanced technology in civilization, which means they broke away and then got smarter. That would be worse, right? I would rather say we came from Africans, blah, 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 but I don't understand the logic behind some people. Then, because you all possess African mitochondrial DNA. It's amazing. Then, what's even funnier is that they said that the Kemet had a magnificent fleet of ships and sails. Then I do even more research. I find out that apes are making rafts, and apes have been sailing across the lands. They got videos on YouTube of monkeys and apes using rafts to sail across sea masses. I can't make this shit up. I synced it. It wasn't AI. This was the real deal. So, you guys don't, if I was to say like evolution and I bring up apes and stuff like that, and then people go, whoo, 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 I'm a monkey. I'm a monkey. Is that what you think? Like, that level of closed-mindedness tells me that I need to stop the conversation right there and I need to go down a few levels. I need to take the elevator down to where they're at. And we could talk about something totally different until I walk them back up the stairs to where I'm at. Then I could be like, okay, whoa. Okay, let's stop with evolution. Because the apes you see right now, the gorillas, the chimpanzees, to say that they didn't look like that either millions of years ago. And the Homo sapien goes back 1,000,000, 2,000,000 years. We are fucking ancient, the ancient of man. All humans, but y'all don't understand, because if you're a living Caucasian, if you're a living Asian, that means you are a branch of a human that was here 1,000,000 years ago and still living. Your skin color is not the reason why you're still alive. Remember that. So I've been putting a lot of this Bible into context, which means I'm revealing the truth in history, which means I'm the revealer, the revelation. Juan. You don't have to call me Juan the Baptist. You can call me Juan the Firebender. Before you all think I am holier than thou and think I was just giving all this ultimate wisdom for some ancient of ancients, I was just confused as anybody else. And in the midst of my confusion to break out of my cage, I said, fuck the Spirit of God. And I broke away from religion and condemned myself to never be able to go back. But just like that movie, All Dogs Go to Heaven, get your ass up here real quick. Look at your fucking people. I ain't finna play with you. I'm not a Catholic. I'm not a German pagan. I'm not Thor. I am who I am, and look what the fuck they doing to your people and humanity. But why are you talking to me? Keep playing with me. I'll spin your ass around the desert a couple minutes, and when you come out begging for water, you'll be thirsty to do what I asked you to do. Okay, I am who I am. Put no gods before who I am. I love y'all. Do what you got to do. But at the same time, you can change it anytime. The Lord does not say, flee from her, my people, and then say, go to church on Sunday and praise God and Jesus. Because unbeknownst to a lot of you all, sus is Latin for pig. Ye, which was the pronunciation, I believe, was Yanin or Jonathan something, Yohanan something, Yanis, according to Greek, which is a transliteration of what it was in Aramaic or Arahamic or wherever. And then was African Semitic people, man. Look it on Google, they're going to say Afro-Asiatic, but they wasn't African. What the? Do I look? I'm not going to go that far. It is what it is. And the manna I receive is now on my table because I walked out of the wilderness a long time ago.